And I know when we were first coming up with a name for the work, that this metaphor of weaving, the concept of weaving really resonated for both of us. We both, I mean, I've seen weaving. I have family members who are weaving, and the way that something that looks so disparate, all these separate pieces come together and make one beautiful fabric, was really resonant. And I remember you telling me that a lot of the work that's currently considered anti-trafficking work, before this anti-trafficking sector came, this development sector came with all of these concepts about what trafficking framework should look like and what trafficking services should look like, a lot of the work to create dignity and dignified work was already happening.
Yes.
But in different movements, in different related grassroots spaces that were doing work on things like worker rights,
Yes.
anti-poverty, women and girls' rights, that all of these things were happening through different movements. And then rather than helping weave those together to create a stronger framework, we brought in a separate framework, and it was like, this is how anti-trafficking work was done. And I feel like sometimes when anti-trafficking and modern slavery organizations come in to partner with other organizations, it's not an equitable partnership. We're coming in to train you on trafficking. We're going to teach you what exploitation looks like. We already know what exploitation looks like. Yes. Right? So how do we take those existing threads that are often really already functioning as movements, not just sectors, that are being driven by and led by people with lived experience? What would it look like if we took a somewhat different approach and engaged very equitably in mutual learning and partnership, and were able to co-create dignity through weaving together these separate movement threads, so that the fabric that supports people, that gives them a soft place to land when things are hard, is stronger and more vibrant
and more equitable
and more equitable. And so I think that that's where the collective threads and the idea of co-weavers, and I know you and I have referred to each other in our roles as co-weavers, but I know yesterday in a workshop we were leading, I was thinking everyone here is a co-weaver.
Yes.
We're all co-weaving, anyone who comes to this table for these conversations.
And definitely the image of weaving was important, because anybody who has done weaving also knows that a single thread can make the whole, blanket of fiber or everything break down. And also it was this power of we are together. Even every single thread is important. Every single thread weaving itself in the right way is important. There's intentionality in how a blanket is woven or a mat is woven. It's not a mistake that this thread is here and that thread is there. So for us, again, that intentionality, that thought of collective power is important, but also the individual is just as important. The individual threads are just as important, right? Because the individual threads coming together is what makes this good. And sometimes there's a tendency, sometimes it's possible when people come together to forget the needs of the individual threads. That brings us back to people, the needs of the individual threads in support of the big picture. But when you think about weaving, it's not possible to do that. You can't forget. If you forget one thread, it fails.
It unravels.
It unravels.
Yeah.
So it constantly reminds you that every thread is important, but also coming together is just as important.
And not just, we think about how siloed some of the work is in development, and it feels like some of them don't want to weave the threads because I need to get my funding and I need to keep my organization strong, and I want to make my thread get thicker and bigger and stronger, and it still doesn't create a soft place to land.
Yeah.
It still doesn't create a supportive space to have separate, really thick, really solid ropes that aren't even interacting or weaving together to create the support that people need to thrive,
Yeah.
to have dignity.
Yeah, to have dignity.